Hey everybody, I'm Doug, that's Connor, and you are listening to the longest running school district podcast in the South Puget Sound. That's right, the Bethel School District Presents podcast is back for another fantastic week.
We are indeed, and joining us today is the most powerful woman in Bethel podcasting, at least for today, and the free lunch queen of Bethel, Lita Bia. Lita is our child nutrition director, and we have a full plate of things to discuss today. But first,
Love that
Doug,
pun.
I know it. Let's get going, Doug, with some useless trivia, and we're going to get Lita in on this as well, but you start first.
Okay, well, I got a lot of comments and emails that my useless trivia last week was a little too long-winded, a little too nerdy, and there were too many numbers.
That was just from me, by the way.
So I am doubling down and keep those emails coming, Connor. I love them. So it is 2,440 miles from LAX to New York City's JFK Airport, and it takes your average commercial airliner 5 to 6 hours to fly that route. Wouldn't you want to do it faster?
Sure would.
Well, good, because that's what my useless trivia is about today. So the fastest commercial plane of all time is, and you may have guessed it at home, the Concorde. Built in the 60s. We still haven't beaten it. It was in service from 1976 to 2003. It could go from New York to LA in 1 hour and 50 minutes. Now, wouldn't you like to do it faster?
No, I think that's as fast as I'd want to go.
Well, indulge me for one more second. So let's hop in the SR-71 Blackbird. This is the fastest jet of all time, also built in the 1960s, and it would do JFK to LAX in 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 20 seconds. And my sources this week are SlashGear, the BBC, Guinness Book of World Records, and I even delved into whitehouse.org to look at the ban on supersonic flying.
Wow, Doug, you really went all in this week and absolutely useless, so lived up to the name.
And
Love
so
that.
that's our show for the week.
So, Lita, what's your useless piece of trivia?
Well, my piece of trivia, I don't know how useless it is because it actually might come in handy, is that your height is equal to your arm span. So from one tip of your finger to the other tip of your finger is equal to how tall you are. And I used that tool when I was working in the hospital as a clinical dietitian for people who were bedridden and could not stand up. We would estimate their height using their arm span.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's
That's
a real
amazing.
thing.
Crazy.
So maybe not so useless, but
No, that's, I think,
Yeah.
particularly useful depending
yeah.
on what job you're in. Connor, you're up.
Well, I'm going to take us back to absolutely useless real quick here. So, did you know that bubble wrap was originally invented as a textured wallpaper?
That can't be true.
It can be, and it is. The invention was a total failure, obviously. But years later, an industrious marketer got his hands on the product and convinced IBM that bubble wrap would be a good product to help its computers during shipping. The rest, as they say, is history.
Wow. What is your source on this bubble wrap wallpaper?
My source is none other than the Smithsonian.
The Smithsonian. Well, hard to argue with that.
Classing it up.
So, Lita, here in Bethel, we're all about reducing barriers to education. You can't just put a kid in a classroom and expect them to learn if they're dealing with things at home. That's why we have counselors, social workers, equity specialists, psychologists, hearing specialists, McKinney-Vento specialists who help students experiencing homelessness, and food insecurity can play a big role in that.
So, Lita, we used to have a free and reduced lunch program, which basically gave free meals to students whose families made less than a certain number the government decided on. Now, thanks to your work and your team's work, all students in Bethel get free meals. So it seems obvious, but tell us why that's so important.
Well, it's so important for us. I'm a registered dietitian, and my kids were part of the school district as well. So for me personally, it's always been a mission that when I think about our students, I think about feeding my own kids. And if my kids were in a position, which a lot of our kids come from families who struggle with food security and not being able to put enough food on the table, I want to make sure that they're set up in the classroom for success. And a hungry child is not going to be able to pay attention. They're not going to be able to reap the benefits of everything our educational system and our teachers are presenting them to each day. The other piece of that, as a dietitian, kids' growth and development, their physical growth, their overall health is truly linked to their nutritional status. So we just feel in our department that we're doing more than just setting kids up for success in the classroom. We're also setting them up for success in life. Back in the day, we used to have a free and reduced price meal application that a household could fill out. What's happened over the last couple of years, the state of Washington has been moving incrementally, wanting to implement universal free meals across the state. So there's a couple pieces of state legislation that have helped that along. And essentially, we've been able to then district-wide offer free meals for free breakfast and free lunch to all of our students district-wide.
It's so cool that all the work that you and your team have done have brought us to this place where families no longer have to qualify for this. And when everybody gets free meals, all the stigma's gone now too.
Right.
So it's fantastic.
Even with, traditional national school lunch and breakfast, we really try to keep a student's eligibility private, so no one would really know whether they were on free. We say we feed all kids, regardless of what their free, reduced, or paid eligibility is. But what we've seen is our meal participation has gone through the roof. We've been super blessed in Bethel to have our central kitchen. When we opened the central kitchen, we were doing about between 10 and 11,000 lunches a day and about 3,000 and 4,000 breakfasts. Now we're doing over 20,000 meals a day. And a big part of that is because kids can eat for free. The economy being what it is, it's a gift to our community that we're able to do this for our families as well.
And I think a lot of people, when they hear everyone is eating for free, they think, oh, great, some big federal program came in with a blanket and just said everybody eats. Not at all. This was you and your team piecing this together and making it happen like a puzzle almost. So you guys have worked really hard on this. You've done your part, but we do need some help. We're talking about a simple form parents need to fill out each year, right?
Yeah, it's a simple form and it has a horrible acronym. Lita, tell us about the SNEEB.
Okay, the SNEEB, I know it sounds like a character from Dr. Seuss, but a couple years ago when the state of Washington was moving towards this universal free meals, they combined the application. So districts who are participating in the one federal free meal program called community eligibility. When an entire district operates under that program to provide meals, you no longer have any free and reduced price meal data. And a lot of things are associated with that at the student level, at the district level, and funding in particular is a big piece of that. And so districts that are under that provision then need to collect income data from the households in the school district to replace that free and reduced price meal percentage. So what this state did a couple years ago is they created this combined application, and it's much more convenient for school districts. It's much less confusing for families. It has a funky name titled the Child Nutrition Eligibility and Benefit Application. That's what SNEEB stands for. And we really need all of our families to complete the application. When you fill out the application, you have the opportunity to share your information with our business office. So when you go in, if your household falls within that income bracket, free or reduced, it automatically will adjust your fees to a discounted rate. So every household should fill it out for that reason alone. The other reason that you want to fill it out is it helps your school get all the funding that it's entitled to. So there's different state and federal programs that they look at these percentages, and schools will get additional funding depending on where the school falls in terms of their free or reduced percentages. Title I, LAP are a couple of those programs that we use that information for. And then finally, this data is used to gather that information for the free meal program district-wide. So it's really important to keep district-wide free meals, that we all do our part, and that this form gets completed and filled out.
So this is an incredibly important form. We're not asking families to do this just because we're curious. There are real consequences for this, and we want to keep kids eating for free. So fill out your SNEEB, and you can do that on our website, bethelsd.org/meals.
Absolutely. And we can't sit here in our district's central kitchen without talking about food. Our central kitchen was actually built thanks to the 2006 bond, so thank you to our voters. And before that, we had a whole different system. Since we now have the central kitchen where all the food's made and sent out to schools, how has that made Bethel better?
Well, I think the first thing, Doug, is we have been able to easily meet the demand and the volume of meals that the students need. And we have room to grow. I would say one of the biggest highlights is during the pandemic. Because we had the central kitchen, we served over 3 million meals, which was more than we served in a regular school year. And there is no way we would have been able to accomplish that without this awesome facility. We are really the biggest restaurant in Pierce County. We have 31 locations. So if you think of a franchise, we have 31 schools that we're, preparing and serving meals at.
It's really an amazing operation. Anyone who spent any time here can't be unimpressed by the whole thing. And it's interesting that you refer to it as a giant restaurant, because not too long ago we were all talking outside of a work event, and we were talking about restaurants we'd been to, and our own CTO, Mike Christensen, was raving about a hot dog place in Tacoma, specifically about a hot dog that has peanut butter on it. And you said something really interesting, that either you or someone on your staff can go to a restaurant and try something, even something that sounds outlandish like that, and make a few little tweaks and bring that back into the district and feed it to our students, which I thought was amazing. And it gets me to my question of, how often do you get to test new recipes here in the central kitchen?
So we're testing all the time. Our main kind of scratch-produced system is called Cook Chill. And there are a lot of other health codes that go around. I mean, it's hard food science, just to be quite honest. It's not anything you're going to have in your home kitchen. So any new recipe that we test through that system, we have to make sure it meets the federal requirements for a National School Lunch and Breakfast. It meets the health department requirements as far as the production. But the bottom line is it has to meet our kids' requirements on whether they like it or not. So last year, we rolled out a new Sloppy Joe recipe, which has been pretty popular. And any one of those, we have to go through that whole entire process of getting approval from the health department. So it's a lot slower than what you think.
It's a lot that goes into it, and that peanut butter hot dog also has bacon on it. I've had it. It's called the Hound Dog, and it is outstanding.
Oh, it sounds amazing.
Not sure if we can get that. We might be able to have to do it with turkey bacon, Doug. But
So kids, be on the lookout for that next year.
That sounds fantastic. I mean, it's a tricky thing. What works for dinner for 2 doesn't work for lunch for 20,000. So it's a big undertaking. We got one last question. This one, I just happened to see that Tony Shalhoub has a new travel food show. He's going to go around the world, or at least the country, and try different breads. So my question for all of us here to wrap up our chat is if you can get National Geographic or CNN to fund you to travel the world to eat one type of food, what would that type of food be?
Oh, I already know my answer to this question. So one of my dreams is to backpack in the Italian Alps and sit out and have fondue and look at all the mountains and, just dunk some bread in that cheese and go to town.
Awesome. Yeah, that does sound good. I'm too late to change my answer.
You going to beat this, Connor?
Well, if left to my own devices, would eat mashed potatoes, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So my show would just be me finding Italian moms, I don't know, and trying their mashed potatoes. And
Do they make mashed potatoes in Italy?
I'll go to Ireland. I'll go anywhere. I'll try.
We made mashed potatoes today. They're actually in
so I'll be right back.
the food bank.
What about you, Doug? What's your show going to be about?
Well, mine, I'm going to search the globe for the best gas station sushi. I think
That's a crime. That's disgusting.
You might be searching a long time.
It's yeoman's work, but I think I'll find some questionable ones at best. Well, Lita, thank you so much for joining us. You're doing amazing things for the kids here in Bethel, and it's been an honor chatting with you today.
It's been great chatting with you, gentlemen, as well. And don't forget to fill out your SNEEB.
Fill out your SNEEB, everyone, and we will be back next week with another great show.